The problem is trust. Who do you trust? When you're out there and you are the one superpower on the planet, and many would say, yeah, but wait a second, China's a superpower too, so is Russia. Well, maybe if you break down different things, different aspects, different elements that go into being a superpower, maybe you can make that argument. But we clearly are the biggest, baddest, most economically strong superpower on the planet. And again, good argument can be made about China. But when you've got the right administration in office, the rest of the globe fears us, and the people in every other country want to be us. And you could see that just by the immigration across the border, legally and illegally. Nobody is doing that anywhere else on the planet in the numbers that we're seeing here. 200,000 illegal crossings just last month. That tells me there's something going on here that people want a part of. But the problem is trust. The problem is, who is it that we're going to side with? Because if we just go to recent history, we sided with Iraq against Iran. Saddam Hussein was our buddy. Then he decided he'd go and take over Kuwait. He thought that it was his. And then suddenly the guy that we just armed, the guy that we just supported for 8 years, was a guy that we now hate and is our enemy, and we have to take him out. Osama bin Laden was our friend. You can get as mad at me as you want, but he was our friend. As he was fighting the Soviet Union that was trying to I don't know if they were trying to colonize, take it over, make it another Kazakhstan, who the hell knows? But the Soviet Union back then was trying to take over the entire globe. Little by little, they were grabbing countries and just making them part of their country. We said, oh no, au contraire. So we armed a bunch of ragtag, mountain militias, and we said, let's fight the Soviet Union by proxy. And we'll do it through this guy from Saudi Arabia, this bin Laden guy, who is going to be the de facto leader of this thing they call the base, Al-Qaeda. And we did. He was our buddy. He was shooting down Soviet fighter jets, air attacks with our military equipment. He was using our RPGs to take out tanks. They were killing Russian soldiers, Soviet soldiers, with our weaponry, the stuff that we provided them. And we all said, damn straight, Soviet Union, you better back off. Don't go colonizing the entire world. We're going to support Afghanistan in this one. And then as soon as they won, we won by proxy through them, they decided, well, now that we have the weapons, why don't we just turn them on the Americans? The Americans have been doing bad things. We disagree with Israel. We don't want it to exist. We don't like that they're even in this country. All right, so we took care of them. We didn't do it for the Americans. We did it for us. Now we'll take care of the Americans. And they did. Who do you trust? Did we trust the Taliban? I guess to an extent, by way of Al-Qaeda, which was called the Mujahideen back then. Did we trust the Mujahideen too much? Obviously we did, because bin Laden turned on us. And then, we've got a situation where the Taliban then gave safe harbor, safe haven to train Al-Qaeda to learn how to take us on and kill a bunch of Americans on 9/11. I think they thought they would kill 50,000 people that day because 50,000 people worked at the World Trade Center just in those buildings. 3,000 died, 2,800, 2,900, 3,000 died that day, mostly innocent. Mostly non-military. This was not an act of war. It was an act of cowardice against civilians. That's what it was. And they did it because they don't like our decadence. They don't like our way of life. They don't like that we appear to be the imperialists or the colonizers. Although we're the freest, most liberated nation on the planet, that everybody on the planet, all their people want to come here and be us. And other countries want to take us out because we're shining too much light on freedom and liberty. You can say what you want, think what you want. You can worship as you'd like because of the best system on the planet. Is it perfect? Damn. It is not perfect. Hell no. It is far from it. But we always strive to be a more perfect nation. So was it smart to side with the Mujahideen, side with de facto the Taliban against the Soviet Union? Well, if you wanted to keep the Middle East peaceful or keep this country independent, Afghanistan, which may have in fact kept Israel safer, which is our best friend in the Middle East, then we did the right thing. But did we do the right thing in allowing them to keep on keep on using those weapons, keep on resupplying them with weapons as they lied about why they wanted them, and then they turned them on us. And then they used not even traditional weapons of war. They used airplanes to kill a bunch of civilians who couldn't fight back. So you can talk about how brave they are. Bill Maher back in the day, they weren't cowards. Yes, they were. They took out a bunch of civilians on airliners. That's not something to be proud of. So when that happened, what we did as a country, what President George W. Bush did as the president was he said, we're going to get the bad guys. We know bin Laden did it because bin Laden had just done the Yemeni attack on the coal. Bin Laden and al-Qaeda had done the Kenya attacks. It wasn't something new. Al-Qaeda had been doing things like this constantly. We knew almost immediately who it was, right? So we go to Afghanistan to get al-Qaeda that we knew through intelligence had been trained or given safe harbor or safe training area by the Taliban. Not only are we going to take out al-Qaeda, we're going to take out the Taliban. Now listen, man, I'm not an expert on the Taliban, not even for a second. I do know this. They gave cover, safe harbor, they aided and abetted al-Qaeda in planning the attack on 3,000 civilians who died that day. So al-Qaeda, for me, and the Taliban were one and the same. Are they really one and the same? No. But for me, they were one and the same. That's why, and you'll recall this, Kerry, I think last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, I asked Jeff Adicott, our expert usually on terrorism law, why are we including the Taliban and the government in Afghanistan at all? I asked that question. I thought it was a decent question. The Taliban, they were also the bad guys. We equated them with al-Qaeda, whether they were al-Qaeda or not. So my question I thought was valid. Why would we ever say we have to form the government and include the Taliban? And the answer was, well, there are different factions and different warlords in different areas, and it's all territorial, and the Taliban is embedded there, and you have to allow them to be this, that, and the other. No, actually, I'm more for the guy, who was his name, Omar. I was more for the leader of the Taliban to be arrested and tried and thrown in prison forever or killed, and the rest of the Taliban being told, if you ever show your faces again, we'll wipe you off the map too. And then not build some sort of a representative republic like we have here, but allow for the people of Afghanistan to decide how they want to be ruled, and then get the hell out. I didn't want us to be there for 20 years. Never from the beginning. I want us to go in there, get rid of al-Qaeda, get rid of the Taliban, and say, ha, kiss my ass, we're out of here. And then help them to have a government that made sense for them, whether it be religiously or geographically or topographically, whatever. Their government should have been one that the people of Afghanistan desired. I'm not saying push freedom and liberty on them. I don't think that place can take freedom and liberty. It's like in the Stone Ages compared to how the modern planet is. So having said that, we somehow included the Taliban. And this even, look, I think President Trump did a marvelous job, but I didn't get why we were dealing with the Taliban. And then, after it was explained to me, well, you really can't separate the Taliban from Afghanistan, but you can get assurances from them. I'm like, okay, get the assurances. And the assurances were, and Trump originally said, we'll be out by May 1st. And then he said, well, we're not going to give it a definitive date. And then for some reason, Joe Biden thought, August made sense right before the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Are getting out, there were many stipulations, and I've seen Mike Pompeo talk about this, and we'll have him on soon as well, and I hope to talk to President Trump very soon too. The stipulations were you will give safe avenues, safe free ways for our people to get out. You won't harm one hair on one person's head. You're gonna do this peacefully, and we're going to leave the country, and then you guys form the government that the people want. Well, Trump is no longer in office because Trump proved over and over, like with Syria, if you go against your deal with me, or if you go against what the international law says, or if you go against promises made, we will bomb you, which is what we should have done here. So we've got a situation where Biden is now in office, and you see Biden until about Thursday-ish, and then he goes to Camp David until like Monday-ish. I think he plays some Mario Kart there with the grandkids, and he doesn't seem to know even where he is half the time. He couldn't find his way back to the White House the other day. He decides that we're still going to do it. We're going to telegraph it, tell them exactly what date it's going to be, and we won't hold them to the assurances they gave to Pompeo and to Trump. That's fact. We're not going to hold them to it. So once they started the mayhem and people started dying and the violence started happening in Afghanistan, all the people that helped us for all these years are now going to be lined up against the wall and die or run over by a tank or shot in the face. It's going to happen, and it's already happening. People are trying to get out of there by jumping on planes and falling out of the planes once they take off and dying. This is how dire it is. And Biden walks out today and decides, well, everything's fine. It's exactly as planned, and I'll take the criticism, and I wanted to bring the boys home. I wanted to bring the boys home, too, a long time ago. I think mission accomplished, you bring them home. Kill Al-Qaeda, you bring them home. Get bin Laden, bring them home. There were plenty of opportunities to bring them home, and we should have brought them home because we're not going to make it Charlotte, North Carolina. That's not going to happen. It's going to continue to be Afghanistan, which is screwed up, dude. It is not a good place to live. I mean, anything that we've gotten out of there, we should know this. It is not modern planet Earth. Let them be what they're going to be. Let them do what they're going to do. We can't, if you wanted to make it little America, make it a sheet of glass and start all over. You didn't do that. But the idea that somehow he stands behind this botched plan to get out of Afghanistan, and it's hunky-dory, everything's fine, and I'll take the criticism. He's not taking squat. What he did was he walked out, read some teleprompter script that was written by any number of people, probably Obama, probably Harris, probably fill in the blank, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, whomever. They wrote this for him. He read it, turned around and walked away, didn't take one question, and everybody in the left media is kissing his ass like he just did something remarkable. He didn't. There are people dying there, some of them Americans. We should have been out of there a long time ago. I blame Bush. I blame Obama. I blame Trump to an extent to include the Taliban, although I think the assurances he got he would have upheld had he still been the president. And now this guy is just a shell. He's being mocked by our allies around the world, not just by people like me. So before we do our break, I want your thoughts on Afghanistan, what we're seeing. We're all seeing the harrowing video. We're all seeing the horrible things going on there. And, Carrie, if you don't mind, before we hit the break, but whatever sort of wrap-up you have, let's do a wrap of what we know so far. But I definitely want to hear from people on this because I am so sick and tired of people playing politics on this when the reality is I'm a conservative guy. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a guy who voted for Trump. I voted for him twice. But I'm also a guy who wanted us out of Afghanistan about a year into the theater for the simple reason that we went there for a plan. Kill Al-Qaeda, stop the Taliban, get the hell out. And we didn't for some reason. And one wonders, was this an economic reason? Is there really this war machinery that's so important economically that we have to keep war going to the tune of trillions of dollars? We should have been out of there a long time ago. But botching the exit and not holding anybody, nobody's feet are being held to the fire here because of what they're doing to Afghan citizens and to Americans as we leave. If there's no recourse, they're going to continue to do what they're doing. This whole thing has been botched. So, Carrie, what do you have on the way out?